Auzubillahiminash-shaytanir-rajim. Bismillahir-rahmanir-rahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear students. Today we are going to learn about the effective stress in a saturated soil mass. Now, what is the effective stress? I will define first that the effective stress is equal to the total vertical stress minus the pore water pressure. Now, whenever the load is applied or the stress is applied onto a soil mass, here, initially, if the drainage is not permitted, all the stress or the load will be taken by the pore water, and that pore water will increase, or the pore water pressure will increase immediately. But when the drainage occurs and the pore water pressure dissipates, what will happen, that the load which is applied onto the soil particles will be transferred to the soil particles. Now, the rate of drainage depends on the permeability of the soil and the engineering behavior involving the shear strength, and the compressibility, of the soil depend on the intensity of the stresses passing through the solid granular fabric of the soil. Now, those stresses are known as the effective stresses, or the stresses which are taken by those particles, solid granular particles. Now, the ground movements and instabilities can be caused by changes in the total stresses. For example, when we load a foundation, or if we unload due to the excavations, they can also be caused by the changes in the pore water pressure which are occurring between those particles, and that can happen in slope failures which occur after rainfall due to increasing the pore water pressures. In fact, if we say that it is the combined effect of the total stresses and the pore water pressures that controls the soil behaviors such as the shear strength and the compressibility behavior. Now, that combined effect is known as the effective stresses. Now, we studied in our previous videos about the total vertical stress in a homogeneous soil mass. Also studied for the multi-layer problem, and we studied about the pore water pressure in a soil mass. Now, we already know that sigma prime V is the vertical stress, or the total vertical stress. Now, if you want to write an equation for the effective stress, so we can write something like this, that the effective vertical stress will be equal to sigma V, which is the total vertical stress minus the pore water pressure. Now, sigma V is the total vertical stress, and U is the pore water pressure. Now, how we calculate the U, the pore water pressure, and the total vertical stress, please kindly watch my previous videos. Thank you so much for listening and watching my videos. Assalamu alaikum and Allah Hafiz.